everybody, and welcome to another edition of Web3 Weekly. I am Crypto Kenny. Amazing to have you all here. Let's start off the most admirable way that we can. If you're not already subscribed to the Web3 Weekly podcast, please go ahead and follow and subscribe to the Web3 Weekly podcast. We do interviews with top projects in the NFT space. We do market updates. We do educational videos on different portions of the space. If this is your first video, watch this video through, give us a like, give us a thumbs up, tell us what you liked about the video, tell us what you didn't like, put all that down below. There will be a suggested video up here if you liked this one, so you can go ahead and check out right up here. There'll be a suggested video, so go ahead and look at that and follow that. So today we have with us Adam from Just Cube. There's been in the space. There are several over the last year or so projects that have come up around the utility of node operation, hypernodes, and things like that. These guys have really done it right. Some of the utilities that they're offering are really top tier in the space. They have a very good just presence among NFT holders and users. They've done some really amazing things. So we're going to get a little bit deeper into the utility, what they've got going on. So we have Adam with us today that's going to talk about that. So it's going to be a really fun episode. So without further ado and without further clutter, let's bring Adam on. And Adam, how about you give us a little bit about your background in the space in general, and then what you currently do inside the Just Cubes project, and give us a little history, sir, if you don't mind.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me, first of all. So I'm really excited to dive into today's episode and just kind of talk about what we're doing and see what type of feedback you give me, because these are oftentimes when I come on podcasts, we start talking about ideas and like what we're doing with Just Cubes, and typically some pretty cool ideas come from it, and or connections and things like that. So I'm really excited to be here. Thank you again for having me. But yeah, so hey everybody, I am Adam Andrews. I am one of the 3 co-founders of Just Cubes. I do the marketing. I do pretty much all of the chief operating officer kind of roles. So all of the back end business stuff in terms of like strategy and systems and building out all that type of stuff. Managing devs and, team meetings with the CTOs, all that type of stuff. Other than that, right now I've been taking quite a long break. Unfortunately, I was in an accident on the 1st of this month, and just kind of finally just getting back into like even getting on the computer and being online. So I'm happy that this is kind of the start of coming back into the space. I love doing podcasts. I love talking with new people. But yeah, that's kind of a little bit about me and what I do over at Just Cubes.
Fantastic, man. And how long have you? What's been your basic kind of the coming in story as far as in the NFT space or crypto in general? Like, how long have you been in the space? What kind of brought you in? I always like to ask that to founders and see the variation and stories of what got you interested in the crypto space or NFTs in general.
Yeah, I love that question, and I ask that often as well. So I am, what is it, November? So I've been in the space for like a little over a year and 4 months, year and 3 months, something like that. Mm-hmm. So I got back in like right at the kind of forefront of the NFT bull run, and I got in via Brett from the Brett Way. I was in a really, really, really bad mental place. Like I was going through a breakup. Like I was just like in a terrible place. And so I was like focusing all my time in Web 2, which is where I, typically came from and where I learned, all of my marketing skills and things like that. I run a Facebook advertising company. And so after doing the Web 2 work, I had nothing to do but sit there with my thoughts, and like, that when you're going through a bad negative breakup, it's like not really the best thing to do. So I was like, all right, let's figure out like something to do with my time. And oftentimes that just was scrolling on YouTube. And I was scrolling on YouTube one day, and there's this video. I'll never forget it. I kind of want to go find it. But it was a video by the Brett Way, and it said how I made $10,000 in 10 minutes flipping an NFT. And I was like, yo, hold on, what? That's crazy. And so I was
Mhm.
like, all right, it's only like a 7-minute video. I'll watch it. So I watched it. And sure enough, I was like, damn, that's crazy. And then I started diving down the rabbit hole of NFTs and learning about like what they are and the technology and their use cases. And at that time, there wasn't like a whole lot of cool use cases and like actual real world utility. It was just like a lot of
Mhm.
PFPs and shit like
Yep.
that. And so I kind of was like, all right, this could be an interesting thing. I like investing. I used to trade stocks, and I was like, you know what, this could be fun. If
Mhm.
if if I lose my money, I got a shitty JPEG to look at. If
Yeah.
not, I make money, right? So I was like, all right,
Yeah.
let's dive in. So I figured out. I called one of my best friends, and he was actually one of my very first business partners who got me into crypto. And called him and I was like, "Yo, can you help me get set up with some sort of centralized exchange to onboard some money into crypto and help me onboard it safely?" He's like, "Yeah, dude, no problem. I'll
Mhm.
come over tonight." So he came over and got me set up with a MetaMask wallet and taught me, what to look for, what not to touch, like don't click these links. And anyways, long story short, my first trade I lost like $700,
Mhm.
and in my second trade I spent $600 on an NFT and sold it for 18,000. And I
Yeah.
was like, yo, whoa, we're on to something here.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, let's see. So I gave myself $2,500 and I told myself, like, you know what? Like Gary Vee always says, play with the money that you're willing to lose completely
Mhm.
so that it doesn't affect your life. And so I was like, all right, 2,500 bucks at the time was like, okay, you know what? It is what it is. I'll chalk it up to the game if I lose this. And so I was like, all right. So I put in 2,500. I lost that first 600, 700. Then I made that flip. And then I took that 18,000 and I put it in a separate MetaMask wallet. I was like, I'm not going to touch these.
Mhm.
Oh, I touched those.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyways, I ended up getting like 6 or 7 more trades out of that
Mhm.
2,500 bucks, and I pretty much lost on the next like 8 or 9 trades, of course, right?
Yeah.
And and this was at the time when Mechaverse was launching,
Ah.
and I had $650 left in my MetaMask wallet, um, and I was waiting on the Mechaverse website for the mint, and I got one,
Mm.
and it was $648 and like 28 cents. So I literally had $2 left. I was like, "This is it. This is it. That's
Yeah.
it." And I flipped that at pretty much the top. I flipped it from 648 invested to 30,000 profit. And so I was like, okay, holy shit, there's something here. Like, let's really dig into this and see what we can do. And so I started following Neo Tokyo and Alex Becker and Elio Trades and like what they were doing and following Super Farm. And I just, went down that rabbit hole, and here we are a year and a
Yeah.
half later. Launched my own project. We've done like a little under 2K ETH traded right before the market kind of took a fat dump. And now we're just kind of like, slowly building and trying to, weather the storm and continue providing value to our holders.
I think it's really interesting, man, because it's like you get so many different stories because you have guys like you that you came in at such a good time, right? Like timing is so much of everything. And then you have those stories which I love because there's not a lot of them. Like there's not a lot of guys that came in at the right time, got made some success and got in. I mean, because most people have to lose for a few people to win, right? Like that's how it works most of the time. And so I love hearing, like stories like that because the majority of the time when I talk about founders, they're like myself. Like I got into crypto in 2016, right? And that was back when nobody knew what the fuck was going on, right? Like we had to stumble and like I mean it was just grinding for years and years before I saw any kind of profit. And now I'm running a VC firm. We trade 6 figures, continually in the space. But it was a long road, right? But it's also intriguing to me that you're still, a lot of the guys that did make had good timing and came into the space and made good money, a lot of them are gone now, right? Because the hard times came around and they're like, hey, I can't flip and make 10,000 anymore. So I'm just gone, right? So I think it's great that you guys are still, building and operating, because that's going to be the big payment. You think $30,000 was a big thing. um it's like it's amazing what's going to happen in with these guys that continue to build over the next 2 years and run into this next bull run with all of this ammunition. I mean, it's going to be insane. So kudos to you for being there and getting that done. And I love to hear stories like that. So which really ties into a lot of there's a lot of similarities between some of the projects that I work with and what you guys are currently doing. So let's talk a little bit about Just Cube, and let's talk about like what was the thesis behind what came to light when you were like, hey, I want to do a project and I want it to do this and this. How did that come about, and what was your guys' goal when you launched the project?
Yeah, I love this question. I love talking about the thesis behind it and like the idea that we had prior to launching. And so, at the time, in honestly, we're coming up on our first year anniversary. Just Cube's first birthday will be next month. So around this time, we were, brainstorming, and we were like, the market was in a really weird place. It was in like a either PFP only shit pumped hype, like pumps, and or projects that were like, oh hey, yeah, we're just gonna take the mint funds and do raffles and giveaways for
Yeah.
NFTs. And I was like, that's fucking lame. Excuse my French, but I was like, like that's lame, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, winning things is cool, but like there's no sustained engine of business behind that. You have mint funds and then you're gonna run out one day. Royalties are not like royalties don't keep a project going.
No, I mean, yeah, that's a
So
good point, because even at your guys' level, running 7%. I mean, at current value, you've made what, maybe 160, $170,000 off of secondary, and people
yeah,
people base their whole projects on that. It's like you cannot run
no.
a project on secondary sales. So that's
Us,
something.
yeah, especially with an asset that is fluctuating in with the market,
Mhm.
and we don't get to pull that out every single day and flip it to
Mhm.
USDC, or you know what I mean. So like we constantly lose value and fluctuate, like, and I think a lot of people just don't understand that when they get into the space and like want to launch a project, because like 99% of the people, just like Gary Vee says, and a lot of other people, 99% of the projects that are here now are probably not going to be here in
Mhm.
a year, 2 years,
Yep.
3 years.
Yep.
Like,
Mhm.
I mean, it's just factual. Like, unless you can figure out how to sustain your business in the back end, whether it's trading or other services, you're not going to be able to sustain for the long term. And that's unfortunately a lot of the projects that are out there now. And not, I mean, including us, like we could get hit with some terrible shit and like we could get fucked, and it happens. It's business. And I think a lot of the investors in the space don't understand that. And so they get really upset when somebody essentially soft rugs. Like I had a conversation with Champ T about this. And it's like the unintentional rug. You had all of the good intentions on providing the roadmap that you wanted to deliver to your community, but you don't know how to run a business. Business
Yep.
is fucking expensive. Running a business is not for the faint of heart. It's some serious shit.
Yeah.
And to come back to your initial question, I know we got a little bit off topic. Was the thesis behind launching Just Cubes was, at the time in the market there were a ton of giveaway projects, and so we're like, all right, well, what's doing really well right now is like projects with games who have some like really good graphics pre-mint, right? And so we're like, what can we do differently? How can we provide value pre-mint to these holders via a game? So like
Yep.
I'd never built a game before. And so I went to my
Mhm.
CTO and I was like, yo,
Yeah.
what would it take to build like just this simple old nostalgic game? And that's kind of where it came from. We're like, okay, let's build a game, Pong. We'll reinvent the Pong game
Mhm.
and we can just play it for prizes. That was the whole thing. I was like, all right, we're going to change our business just a little bit, tweak it, to have a fun competitive environment that gave back to the community in terms of input, right? So like it's not just, hey, come and enter a Discord raffle to hopefully win this NFT. No, it's like, hey, come and have fun playing this game to win these NFTs. And then, it slowly kind of developed into, hey, what else can we do to provide value to our holders? Because this game's going to take a little bit of time to launch. Let's look into what we can do elsewhere to continue providing value and keep people in the Discord, right? We wanted Discord engagement and to keep people active in there because that's crazy, like necessary pre-mint. And so we're like, all right, let's brainstorm. And so I just started like researching a bunch of stuff. My community manager started researching a bunch of stuff, and we came to the conclusion like, hey, like let's look into nodes. I don't really know what they are, but let's collectively take a good amount of time to research nodes and see if we can provide one. And between I think the 3 or 4 of us, we did probably 150 hours of research into nodes and node development and private ETH nodes and how to host and like all this stuff. And we're like, okay, this is possible. This could be actually really cool because nobody's done this, right? Alchemy, they were big, and a lot of the traders at the time were using Alchemy, in the back end, being hush hush about it because like it gave you that edge that other people didn't know you had. And so, it was nice. And so we're like, all right, let's look at how much it's going to cost to build our own private ETH node, cost of dev, cost of servers, like everything. And we're like, damn. Realistically, we didn't have that money at the time. We're sort of like, fuck, how are we going to do this? And, I came back to this. I read a lot. That's my education. I never went to college. I read a lot and I learn under people who I look up to and I would trade positions with in life. And so there's a book over there. It's called Ask Your Developer. And it's by the CEO and founder of Twilio. And there's this theory, it's not his, but it's stated in the book, and it was the first place that I found it. And it's called the painted door test. And essentially, you can create a website in, let's say, the Web2 space, and put a headline, a little bit of text, and a couple nice things with an email box to enter in your information if you're interested in this service or product or whatever, right? And then you run some ads to it and see if people are interested. So I was like, all right, how can we do a painted door test? We already know people use Alchemy. So like, how can we see if people would be interested in the node as a utility for the project? We're like, what if we just offered nodes to our whitelisted holders? Like our whitelist in the server? Okay, how could we do that? Talk to my dev. Long story short, we ended up doing like a little market test with Alchemy pre-mint. We worked with Alchemy's team to figure out how we can whitelist on Alchemy, and like it wasn't the best. There was a few back doors. Like if you got the link, you could figure out how to add your own wallet. It was really tough. I'm sure somebody figured it out, but it allowed us to get that market data and the thumbs up from the market saying like, yes, this is a cool fucking idea. Like that's all anybody gave a fuck about. We had a game in development, like we had other things. Every single AMA we went on after we launched that to our whitelisted holders gave zero fucks about anything but the node. And we're like, oh shit, we might be onto something here. And so having provided all that value pre-mint and having the game finished pre-mint put us in a really good spot coming up to our mint. Unfortunately, on mint day, Discord completely crashed. It was the one time this year that Discord fucking crashed for like 3 hours. And it only crashed in certain portions of the world. And there was quite a few alpha groups in like Southeast Asia, China, that their servers didn't go down and they thought we were hacked because we couldn't communicate in the Discord. And so there was a ton of messages that went out like, hey, JustCube's mint's compromised, like Discord's compromised, they're hacked, don't mint. Like things were going so well. And then it literally, like, I mean, we had probably 100 mints like every 10 seconds and it was going. And then Discord crashed and it just went fucking fell flat on its face. And yeah, it was an interesting mint. we ended up cutting the supply by 50%. So it was originally going to be an 88, and we cut it to 44. And we said, you know what? Like, we worked so hard on this and we want to continue providing value to the community. We're going to just let this mint be open. So like, cry if you want to, sell, FUD the floor, talk shit on me in Discord, that's fine. But this is the decision. We ended up making that decision and took what we had from the mint funds at the time to get them to the developers to pay to develop our hypernode. And once we developed the hypernode, we made a couple announcements about it, had a few AMAs, and then the day we launched the hypernode, alpha calls just went fucking nuts. One of our close friends who runs a pretty big alpha group made an alpha call on us, and I had no knowledge of this. Somebody just came in the Discord, like our Discord got fucking raided, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we're from Ascended," and I was like, "Oh shit, like damn, this is crazy," and yeah, and we minted out in like 33 minutes. We were about 50% minted out of the 44 at that point in time, and in like 30 minutes after those alpha calls started going out, we minted out, and then the floor went fucking crazy, and yeah, and ever since then we've just been continuing to try and like develop and tweak the hypernode to like be just a little bit better and a little bit better. And it's to a point now where it's like it's so fast that the speed difference is just negligible at this point, to be honest. Like it's just excuse my French here again, but it's just a dick measuring contest at this point between different people who have nodes. And it's like, all right, well, like what else are we gonna do? And so, we kind of went back to the drawing board. We're like, all right, let's develop a mint bot. Let's, look at what we can do in the tool space and go from there. And that's kind of the very long-winded story of Just Cubes and kind of what we do and our thesis, I guess. I just kind of rambled on.
No, man, no, that's great, and I love hearing that type of stuff because I think people look at founders and they're like, oh, these guys started an NFT project and it was easy and they just made a ton of money and all this stuff. They have no idea. They have no the general public has no idea how many sleepless nights and stress and just literally throwing blood, sweat, and tears into this. I mean, there's so much easier ways to make money. You know what I mean? In the space.
Dude,
And
just to say something on that point, dude, I track my sleep pretty like pretty accurately all the time, and I averaged 120 working hours from November of 2021 when we started to aggregate the idea and then started to launch until March.
Yep.
Yeah.
I feel you, man.
Just in case you are wondering what the math is on that, there's only like 160 hours in a week. So like, oh my gosh, so many sleepless nights and just grinding for Discord to crash on mint day. Like that was such like just a stab in the heart, man. That was brutal.
Yeah,
But
yeah, for sure. And I mean, I think that it's funny how like the general public like they don't see that side, right? They don't see the time and the blood, sweat, and tears that are put into these projects. But I think it's also telling that if you have a project that goes through that and you have founders that continue to build and bring a value that's those are the only projects right now that I'm betting on personally, right? Like I sold out of all my NFTs in November last year, like everything. Like I was involved with Neo Tokyo. I even sold my Neo Tokyo stuff. I sold Neo Tokyo. I sold Pool Cats. I sold Bored Apes. I sold everything, right? Because you see that the head going on that it coming to a head. I'll tell you what the trigger was for me. The trigger was that I had got whitelisted for some project. It was a PFP project, and it was like I don't know, dude. It was like some like ferrets or some kind of rodent, and it was like a PFP cartoony project, and they had no roadmap, they had no nothing, right? It was just a hyped little project. And I got on there and I minted like 10 of them or something, and I made like 15 grand or something off of just flipping them over. And in my head, it clicked. It's like, bro, if you can make $15,000 off of flipping pictures of rodents, that's got to be a top signal, right? It has to be. And so literally within the next week, I sold everything. I sold absolutely everything. I was like, I'm done. It's like it's going to be. And shortly after that, I mean, it wasn't instantly, but 2 months later, everything crashed and burned. Right. And so now my thesis is over because we know we're going to have this difficult period over the next couple of years. And now my thesis is right at this moment, I'm not buying blue chips yet. I'm not coming back into projects. The only individual NFT projects that I hold currently are projects that have founders that I personally have contact with, and I know that they're still building, right? And if they're actively building right now, when there's no intrinsic value to building right now. You're not making money off of your building. But that tells me that, hey, these guys are going to continue to build value because they're forward thinkers and they know that 2 years from now it's going to pay dividends. But right now it's rough, right? So that's the only things I'm personally in right now. And people, I get slack from that all the time. But it's like I'm here for 5 years from now, right? 10 years from now. I'm here looking at, I'm not okay with making a couple $100,000 or a couple $1 million. I'm here looking at 10 years down the road making $1 billion, right? Like that's why I'm here. And the only way that you're going to get that is you have to be affiliated with projects and protocols and founders and builders that are looking at that same time frame, right? So but I understand completely, man. I understand that, I've founded 2 projects myself. I run a VC firm, and the amount of which is one of the things I want to talk about with your project because I think that a lot of times we put our noses down. We're grinding on all these things. We're putting in 15-hour days, day after day after days, weekends. Never, I haven't had a vacation in 2.5 years. Like and people and like sometimes you have to look up and you have to tell yourself, even as a founder, it's like, I have to breathe for a second. And I think one of the interesting things about what you guys are doing is, and on your website, it mentions it, that the continuation of your project, that you're really going to put time and effort into mental health utility. And I think that is such a huge, huge part of this space because I have seen great minds in this space and great builders burn out and just crash and burn because they did not pay attention to that aspect. So let's talk a little bit about that. Is what's your guys' plans to integrate mental health awareness and utility moving forward in your project? Because I think that's one of the biggest, most unutilized parts of the space that we need to be talking about.
Yeah. Thank you for bringing that up. And so like the reason we put that in the roadmap and why it's in phase 2 and why it's like important to us. Me personally, I've almost committed suicide twice. Like I openly say that it's something I'm comfortable talking about. It's not a negative thing for me. It's something that I overcame, and like I know that people can overcome it. And so like it's close to my heart. And I'll be quite honest, we haven't figured out exactly how we're going to do that or what that looks like. We are working with the Phoenixes, which is they're kind of like a Web 2.5 company that did a NFT drop, and I'm not sure if you're aware of who they are, but they're very focused on mental health overall, like physical health, and like just paying attention to those things and gamifying it. And so we partnered with them to kind of put our foot in the door in terms of mental health and started exploring what we can do there. But we really haven't 100% solidified everything that we want to do. I know it says you can expect something to be rolled out late Q1, early Q2 on the website. That does need to be updated because one, we were looking at that, but our mint day was like, I think March something or April is when we minted out. So like it was already, coming into Q2 at that point. So we were focused on a lot of the other things. But yeah, we're still trying to figure out exactly how to do it. Crypto Maury's is doing a great job of that. And I kind of want to look into what they're doing, how their partnership is structured. I want to, maybe talk to the founders over there and see what they were able to work out with the service that they have for their holders, and just kind of start exploring. That's definitely something that's on my radar coming, early Q1 of 2023. and it's something that I'll probably be heading up because my both my other co-founders, they don't it's important to them, right? Obviously, mental health is very important, and but it's more so important to me than it is to them. But yeah, I think it's a very important thing and something that's very neglected in this space, like you said. Like
Hmm.
120 hours a week is not good for any sort of health, whether it's your mental or your physical health. It
Hmm.
is terrible to work 120 hours a week. And I have a very long-term vision for what we're doing here. Like I, I get shit in Discord all the time from unhappy holders about the floor price. And like, I'm like, dude, I don't care about the floor price one fucking bit. It can go to 0.000001 and I'll still be here trying to like build cool shit because I'm here for 5 to 10 years from now. I'm here for the 100 million, 200 million, $1 billion exit from this software company we're building and this other
Hmm.
software company we're building and this whiskey brand that we're building. Like I'm here to build cool shit and onboard more people into this space
Yeah.
that these people in Discord are coming here complaining about the floor price. It's like, what are you doing to help onboard more people into the space? What are you doing to, help educate people and bring them into the space safely? Nothing.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, you might
Well,
tell your high school friend that you flipped a fucking NFT for 100x. What the fuck is that gonna do? It's gonna make them resent you and be like, oh, you're a fucking weird crypto guy.
yeah. Well, and
Yeah.
I think there's a point to be made there where it's like, we have to change this idea that it's only the responsibility of the builders to be, to be adding people to the space. Like, as a holder, and that's why I invest in so few NFT projects because I have to believe in what the project's doing because me as a person, when I come into your project, you don't just get me, you get every connection I have that I'm telling about your project, and I'm being an ambassador of your project. And until we get communities that are at that level, then we're not really building because you and I both know that in the last year and a half, like there hasn't been new money coming into the space, right? It's been recycled funds. It's the same people buying the same stuff, flipping the same stuff, and a very small percentage of them are winning, and a very large percentage just keep losing money, right? So but it is becoming more. I think that we're seeing a shift now into you're getting community members that are coming into the project, and there's less and less flippers coming in, and there's more and more like, hey, this is cool tech. I understand it's going to take a couple years to get to where it needs to be, but I'm on for the ride, man. Right? And you're getting that level of investor and community member coming in, which is overall very healthy for the space, right? That's where we need to go. So I mean, I think that's fantastic, dude. And I will give you, I talk to so many founders. I'm connected with so many founders and do so, every day. Today I've been on calls with, half dozen different founders. And, the quality of founding teams that are still around is getting better and better, right? Because the all of the fast money, quick in and out people, like they're slowly falling off, right? So the quality is great, and I love this trend now that we're starting to see develop to where you're getting these different projects and different protocols and different developers and builders that are doing these close collabs, and to where we're getting these big groups of very powerful and potentially groundbreaking utility projects that are coming together and almost making like these multiple like huge like communities that so like with us with Alpha Mutants, almost all of our community is involved with like Opus Labs and Non-Fungible Arcade and Worlds Beyond and these like other big groups that are developing, and so it's almost like a mega community, right? And I think that's so awesome, and I think it's really going to breed a super powerful conglomerate as we move forward into the next bull cycle. So it's really interesting to talk about that stuff. And like I wanted to mention, because we're getting to about 20 minutes what we have left, so I wanted to give you time to talk about this. So not just disc cubes, because I know when I speak with founders, when I'm talking to somebody that is solely like they're looking at one particular thing in the space, and that they're just heads down moving towards that thing. But then you have other individuals that are building in several different areas at once, right? Like that, like they have these visions of several different areas, and they're trying to spontaneously build. And I'm one of those second people, right? Like I have multiple projects I founded. I am, working with other projects that were VC funding that we're building up and everything. So, because to me, it's like there's not just one area of the space that's interesting, right? There's so many use cases, and you want to build those things. And I get that same vibe from you. And so we talked a little bit before the podcast. And so, besides for Just Cube and what you're building with them, you're also working with. And this is kind of interesting to me, is you're working with a NFT project based around a whiskey brand that we were talking about earlier. So let's talk a little bit about that, because I think that's very interesting, and I'll even give some of my own interest in that here in a second.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I I love just exploring NFT technology and seeing how far we can push it and like what we can really do with it. And like, a physical product isn't, something revolutionary, right? Like all these projects have done merch, right? And
Mhm.
you get the merch because you own the NFT. It's like, okay, cool. Well, how can we like what we wanted to do was build the Web3 whiskey company, right? When you
Mhm.
think whiskey, you probably think Jameson, Jack Daniels, Jim Beam, like all of the big, crazy, huge conglomerate Web2 companies that are now coming into Web3. Not sure if you're following the liquor space too closely, but a lot of these companies are now applying for patents for metaverses and
Mhm.
applying trademarks for these Jack Daniels #7 metaverses, right? And so what we want to do prior to them getting in, because we know that they're huge conglomerates and they move slow, so it's probably going to take them 2-3 years to build something and like actually put something out that's recognized in the Web3 space as like, oh, this is actually a cool Web3 thing that a Web2 company has built. And so we want to take the approach of building with the Web3 community in mind, and just so happening to have really good fucking whiskey, an actual, story behind the whiskey, a family behind the whiskey, and people who know what the fuck they're doing, right? We've been building in Web3. We know the community. We know how to deliver value. And our partners over at Mid Oak Distillery out of Chicago, they know what the hell they're doing in the distilling space. They've launched
Mhm.
tons of successful products in the liquor space and have won multiple awards. And so we're really confident we can deliver something super, super cool and use NFT technology to the advantage of the Web3 consumer, right? And so what we're doing is claimable whiskey bottles. And you'll mint the NFT, and then there will be a claim period where you can come to a website, input your shipping information, and claim your bottle to be shipped to you. And so we're starting with a supply of 2222. It's going to be split up with 333 NFTs and or bottles of a 4-year Kentucky straight single barrel bourbon. And then we're doing a 2-year aged 1889 NFTs and or bottles of a 2-year pecan flavored whiskey bourbon. And we really wanted to lean on NFT technology and see how we can use it to continue adding value after the mint and after the claim of the bottle, right? So once you claim your bottle, the metadata will change and it will show claimed versus unclaimed. And I
Mhm.
think we're going to do an empty bottle versus a bottle that's full with whiskey.
Mhm.
Um, and and yeah, we're just going to keep providing value to that NFT and that holder of said NFT, with whitelist spots, like the typical type things that you get with holding, a Gen 1 or whatever. But
Mhm.
we're also going to, this is kind of typical, but Web3 whiskey events and all these Web3 conferences, we're already talking with a bunch of them about getting custom bottles done, holding private exclusive events for our holders, um, doing certain things at these events and these what do they call them? They call them activations, is what they call them in the event space. And we're really gonna push in 2023 for a lot of Web3 events and activations at those events and sponsored parties and things like that. Typical alcohol brand type things. But we're really going to push the Web3 utility on top of that. So all of these bottles that will be given out at these events and or minted at these events will have QR codes on them. You can scan them, add the NFT to your wallet. Like there's going to be a bunch of cool stuff. So I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. And I think that utility based, like in real life utility based projects are just very interesting to me because they help shape the actually invest in a usable utility like meta. Because but beforehand, most NFT projects, if we're looking in 2021, most of these things didn't have any utility at all, right? I mean, they were a PFP. But now, and that bred a culture of buying and flipping these things, trying to make fast money, and most people lose in that culture, right? So it's given us a terrible name in the space. But I think that these projects that are coming now that are giving this in real life utility, like I'm part of a project that you minted the NFT. You get dropped 2 bottles of very high end wine twice a year. To me, that's a utility, right? I'm going to buy that thing. I'm going to stake it, and I'm going to get my free wine, twice a year. I get to vote on which ones go out and all this type of stuff. I'm not even thinking about selling it, right? I'm investing in it and I'm keeping it because now I don't have to go and pick up wine anymore. It can come to my place. And it's the same thing with these things. I think that it's and especially in the spirits, niche in the space, like it's such a good utility, right? Like if you find something that you like, if you like this whiskey and you're a whiskey person, and you find that good, you buy one and you use the utility, right? So I think that that's really really cool, and I actually want to personally get involved with that because, like I told you earlier, I've been looking for I've got beer and wine in the NFT space, but I haven't found a really good option in the whiskey or bourbon area. So you'll have to get me in contact with how I can be part of that. But yeah, that's really cool, man. And I think I don't know. I see such a bright future for the in real life utility based NFT projects because I mean that's what the tech has to be. It has to bridge to Web 2, and to bridge to Web 2 there has to be something physical tied to it, right? Like of some kind, there has to be some utility in most areas. Like in a video game, you can get by not having physical, claims because people are used to that in Web 2. But like if you're wanting to bring clothing brands, or you're wanting to bring toys, or you're wanting to bring alcohol, or you're wanting to bring any of these things, like there has to be a tie-in with in real life utility, but it has to be more appealing to purchase that in Web 3 than it does in Web 2. And the only way
And
to
I
do that, go ahead.
Go ahead. No,
No,
I was probably going to say something similar to what you were going to say. The only way to do that is I want to hear what you have to say, but the only way to do that is providing exclusivity
uh-huh.
in my mind. Um, and that's something that we're going to really, really, really push for with this brand because I'm not sure if you've looked at our branding. We're going for a very high end, luxurious brand, right? Gold colors, black colors, um, you know, and really portraying the brand as a high end, elegant 1920s prohibition like whiskey, right? And
Uh-huh.
these are gonna be a high end. Um, I don't want to say high dollar uh, or high value price wise of
Uh-huh.
whiskeys, but they're going to be up there and competitive with some very, very well known good whiskey brands. And the exclusivity that we're going to really lean on in terms of like IRL utility is going to be access to whiskey lounges and cigar lounges and things like
Uh-huh.
that throughout the world, right? We're going to have a team that we hire, and we already have somebody who is well versed in doing this that works at the distillery. So we're going to have her, and we might hire a couple other people to go reach out to some of these very high end exclusive whiskey bars and cigar lounges and whiskey lounges throughout the world. And we want to like long-term vision is we want to stock some bottles at these lounges for our holders to come in and access, right?
Yeah.
You get a free glass of whiskey, when you come into this cigar lounge, or you get like, and figure out how we can continue adding utility to these, useless NFTs after you get the bottle.
Hmm.
So that's something we're going to focus on quite a bit.
Yeah, and I love that. And actually, that you bring up another thing. So I'm a big cigar guy myself, and so one of the things we've looked at with our project is one of our most rare traits in our project is the cigar, right? With our PFPs, and so we're in talks right now to actually do a limited edition collection of Alpha Mutants branded cigars, right, and bring those things out. And I love that Web3 allows you to do those types of things, right? It allows you and it's not just I agree with you 100% that the exclusivity is a big thing, but I also think the community is a big thing, right? Because so for instance with the wine with the winery DAO that I'm part of, it's not only do you get that claim on the wine, but you're in this community of very enthusiastic like these wine enthusiasts, and you can go in there and they have like these chats where you can come in, you can talk about things you're passionate about, you can discuss these niche markets and stuff, and it feels super exclusive because you're in a community with 1,000 other people that are very into this particular niche that you are. And I mean, it's hard to find that in real life because I can go out and I can buy a bottle of I could be a fan of Woodford Reserve, like a double barrel whiskey. But for me to contact with other people that are enthusiasts of that particular brand, it's very difficult, right? Like I have to go and search and find. I mean, there might be somebody that's opened up like a Facebook page or something, but those things are very hard to find. With an NFT, as soon as you purchase that product, you're instantly in contact with all of these people that want that same thing and that are enthusiastic about that same thing. And I think that's a big thing that we don't talk about enough in the space is that it connects communities. And not only is it exclusive, but it's exclusive with a group of people that love the same things. And so it's very it's almost addictive to people that enjoy these niche markets because it's like, man, I mean, this is awesome. Like, I mean, I didn't know there was this many people in existence that enjoyed this like I do, right? And it's a feel good
Yep.
thing. So you stick with the communities. So I love that, man. I absolutely love that. That's super cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I put out a tweet. I'm trying to find it right now. When we first launched or announced that we're launching this to market, and I want to read it to you. Because it talks about the connection that you get. And I think it's a very important point. Let me find it real quick.
And well, while he's looking for that, guys, I'll also state that I'm going to in the description below. Please go through that because we're going to have links not only to just cubes, but also anything else that Andrew that Adam's involved with. So please go down there, support. I say it every single time that if you want to make a impact in the space, support the people that are building cool things, right? Support the people that are trying to innovate and make NFTs and the technology mainstream. So the social media is below. Follow them, retweet. Even if you don't, I tell people all the time, even if you don't have the liquidity to invest in every single project that you like, the least you can do and the simplest thing you can do is to follow them on their socials, retweet their tweets, help get the information out there, and that can be the small way that you as an individual help build the space. So please do that.
Yeah, absolutely. And that interactivity can land you free mints. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Like
Yeah.
active people within communities who are helping and like, truly, like you said, if you don't have the money to invest your time, invest your
Mm-hmm.
effort, invest, something. And oftentimes that pays off.
Mm-hmm.
Like people don't really understand that just simply sharing and helping and being a part of the community will get you noticed. There are quite a few people who I gave free mints to and I just gifted cubes to. I mean, when it was at like half an ETH. And dude,
Mm-hmm.
I gave away 15 ETH worth of cubes
Mm-hmm.
that I minted myself
Yeah.
and then I bought off the secondary myself. And like you can get rewarded if you're a good community member and like, you know, so yeah, definitely. But here's that tweet that I wanted to read. And it says, okay, so now, well, this is on October 24th. I think we launched the first tweet on the 24th or the 23rd of last month. And so it says, okay, so now that the cat is out of the bag with blockchain bottles, I'll tell you a bit about the vision. Our vision is not to just provide great alcohol to the space or just do another NFT project. Our vision is to help bring Web3 tech to a Web2 traditional space and expose a traditionally high class community of old money to what this technology can do. We see this company as a way to do that, showcasing what NFT technology really can do to improve the experience of ownership, even for a product as simple as whiskey. The idea that we can produce a very high quality, luxurious, and sought after whiskey while serving the purpose of expanding Web3 is amazing. So that's exactly what we're going to do. We're bringing Web2 to Web3 to Web2, not the other way around. Because we're not trying to drag people from Web2 into Web3. We want to bring it to them and showcase the technology. And so with that being said, whiskey, in my opinion, is a great vehicle to do that because it's a tangible asset that can be directly tied to an NFT, not to mention a community of passionate whiskey lovers, right? I don't know of a stronger community in terms of like liquor, right? Like there's beer lovers. That's a pretty up there one, but whiskey is like they are dedicated as well as wine. And so we've already seen success and proof of concept with companies like Block Bar, Evanco Weindow. You just mentioned one, Booze Bears, Meta Brew Society. And so we wanted to do something similar, but with whiskey because we hadn't seen it done yet. And so we're making whiskey that is made by degens for degens. If you look into our branding, you'll see that Joe Saltis was an old bootlegger back in the 1920s when Prohibition was in full swing in the United States. And so as well as the new technology that we're bringing, this isn't just a whiskey company. It's a community. It's a movement. It's something that we really want to build up and build strong so that one, you can share a glass of whiskey with your NFT buddy from Austria as you sit on, Discord chat room, right?
Yeah.
We want that type of vibe in our community. And so it's a community of Web 2 and Web 3 whiskey lovers that are going to come together and share their love for whiskey and NFT technology in a new way. So that's kind of that's the vision. That's what we're doing with that.
I love it, man. I love that in everything that you're involved with, like you're thinking about the longevity and the giving not just a product but building a community around the product. I love that. I think too many times people are so focused on getting a product out there that they don't think about the community around the product. And I mean, and that's what sells your product, right? If you have a community built around it and good utility with it, then that's really the golden apple that sells everything. So I love it, man. I love it. I'm very impressed with you and what you guys are doing. I definitely want to connect and continue to connect and maybe even but we'll have an opportunity to do some stuff together in the future. But we're running about at the end of the time frame here. So once again, guys, before I let Adam do his kind of just last thoughts, we will have all of these again, all of the links down below. Please follow these. I don't know how many times I watch the hundreds of people watch these videos and only 10% of you do the following or whatever, right? So don't do that. Don't be that person. If you really enjoy the space, which if you're watching Web3 Weekly, you're probably halfway deep into the space, but come in and actually support these projects, jump in and follow founders because I tell you, the thing that will never steer you wrong in this space is if you bet on founders that are legitimately here to work for the long run. And I believe that Adam here is one of those people. He's really trying to do some interesting things and he's passionate about it. He's not only bringing the utility, but he's working on things like mental health in the space, which is a fantastic thing to do. And it's really going to help the space move forward. So, Adam, if you got any final thoughts or anything you want to direct anybody to, things that are coming up, events, anything like that, go ahead and do that, and then we'll close everything out.
Yeah, absolutely. One, again, thank you for having me. It's been a wonderful time to just chat. I love hopping on podcasts and talking about NFTs, and it's something I'm passionate about. And so like if you guys care about anything or like you like whiskey or want to learn more about nodes, the information is in the description below. I think I just gave Kenny the Twitter links to all the things that I'm associated with, and I run a podcast as well, so I'd love to have you on, get on for an episode, talk about what you guys are doing, and would love for you to join. But yeah, I mean that's all I got. Nothing to sell, nothing to shill. If you want to join me on this crazy journey in life we got, shoot me a follow.
That's awesome. That is so awesome. And yes, I would love that. I spend so much time doing podcasts that I love when I can actually get on one and I don't have to, I can just sit there and
Yeah.
talk about it and not have to do all the back end work. So that would be
Yep.
fantastic, man. I would love that. And again, if you guys appreciate the just no bullshit upfront honesty and talking about the space, follow go and support Adam and everything he is doing. But with that being said, we never want to take up more than an hour of your guys' time. Appreciate you taking the time to watch this or listen to it on whatever platform that you're currently listening to and it's being streamed on. Until next week is Web3 Weekly. I'm Crypto Kenny. Let's go make that crypto money, but more importantly, let's go build the crypto space. I'll see you guys next time. Later on.